You know what's strange? We live in the most photographed era in human history. People document everything, their coffee, their outfit, the sunset they saw for 3 seconds before checking their phone again. But there's this entire group of people who just don't. They travel somewhere beautiful and take maybe 2 photos. They go to a party and leave with zero evidence they were there. And everyone assumes they're just not present or they don't appreciate the moment. But psychology suggests something completely different is happening in their brains. If you're someone who has 47 photos on your phone from the last 6 months, while your friends have 47 from last Tuesday, this video is going to explain everything. Because what looks like disinterest is actually a different way of experiencing reality itself. Here's what nobody tells you. Taking photos changes how your brain processes memory. And people who don't take many photos might actually be remembering more than everyone else. There's this thing psychologists call the photo-taking impairment effect. Sounds technical, but it's simple. When you photograph something, your brain basically says, cool, the camera's got this one, and it stops encoding the memory as deeply. You're outsourcing the experience to a device. Which means later, when you look at that photo, you're not remembering the actual moment. You're remembering a flat image of it. The smell, the feeling, the tiny details that made it real, gone. People who don't take photos, their brains are forced to actually pay attention, to encode everything right then and there, because there's no backup plan, no photo roll to scroll through later. Just the raw experience burning itself into memory in real time. Researchers tested this at Fairfield University. They put people in a museum. Half took photos of the art, half just looked. The ones who just looked remembered way more details about what they saw. The photographers could barely describe what they'd spent an hour photographing. Their brain had checked out the moment the camera came up. And here's where it gets interesting. People who rarely take photos are often wired to just be in the moment, not outside of it looking in. For them, pulling out a phone to document something feels like leaving the experience, like watching a movie of your life instead of living it. Think about it. When you're filming a concert, are you really at the concert? Or are you at home in the future, watching a shaky video with terrible sound that you'll never watch again anyway? People who don't take photos skip that weird meta layer. They're just there, fully. No performance for an imaginary audience later. But there's another reason some people don't photograph everything. And it's darker. They don't want evidence. Not because they're doing anything wrong, but because they've learned that documenting your life makes you a target. Every photo is data. Every post is a potential vulnerability. These people aren't paranoid. They're just highly attuned to the fact that privacy is actually worth something, that mystery has power, that not everything needs to be proven to exist. Research suggests that people who post fewer photos report higher satisfaction with their real-world relationships. Why? Because they're not performing connection. They're just connecting. No likes to chase, no comments to obsess over. Just the actual people in front of them, getting their full attention. There's also this thing where people who don't take many photos are often more secure in their own perception. They don't need external validation that something was beautiful or meaningful. If they thought the sunset was incredible, that's enough. They don't need 47 people to agree with them before they're allowed to believe their own experience was real. Your sense of meaning comes from inside, not from how many hearts a photo gets. And that's actually rare now. Most people have been trained to distrust their own judgment until the internet confirms it for them. They see something beautiful and their first instinct isn't to feel it. It's to capture it, post it, and wait for strangers to tell them if it was worth experiencing. People who don't take photos trust themselves enough to skip that whole validation cycle. But here's the thing. Not taking photos also means you lose things. Memories fade, details blur. That trip you took 5 years ago, the photo takers can revisit it frame by frame. You've got a feeling and maybe 3 specific moments if you're lucky. And that trade-off is real. You're choosing depth over documentation, quality over quantity. The risk is that the depth fades too. Some people don't take photos because they're protecting themselves from their own sadness. If you don't have pictures of the good times, you can't torture yourself looking at them when things go bad. No photos of the ex, no evidence of the friendship that fell apart, no reminder of how things used to be. It's a preemptive grief management strategy, and honestly, it works. You can't scroll through memories that don't exist in your camera roll. You can't accidentally stumble across a photo that breaks your heart all over again. Then there's the brain science angle. People who rarely photograph things might actually be strengthening the part of their brain that stores personal memories. Their memory system is doing the heavy lifting that other people's camera rolls are doing. They're building memories the old way, through attention and repetition, and actually being present. It's like they're working out a muscle everyone else outsourced to technology. And let's talk about the social aspect, because people who don't take photos are often seen as difficult. Why won't you just take a picture? Because they don't want to stop what they're doing to pose. Because the performance required for a good photo pulls them out of genuine enjoyment. Because they'd rather have the memory of laughing with you than a staged image of both of you pretending to laugh. There's this quote from Susan Sontag. To photograph is to appropriate the thing photographed. It means putting oneself into a certain relation to the world that feels like knowledge, and therefore like power. People who don't take many photos aren't interested in that kind of power. They're not trying to own the moment, just live it. But here's what's interesting. People who rarely take photos often become better at describing their experiences. Because they can't just hand you their phone and say, look, they have to paint it with words, make you feel it. Their memories stay alive through retelling, not through scrolling. And that's a completely different skill. Now, some people don't take photos because of genuine anxiety. What if I look bad? What if this moment isn't Instagram-worthy? What if people judge me? So they opt out entirely. And that's not presence, that's avoidance. There's a difference between choosing to be in the moment and being too afraid to document it. The truth is, people who don't take many photos are making a choice most people don't even realize is available. They're saying, my experience of this moment is more important than proof that this moment happened. And in a world that constantly demands proof, that's almost rebellious. They're not better than people who love photography. They're not more enlightened or more present as some kind of moral statement. They're just wired to prioritize the living over the recording, the feeling over the evidence, the memory over the artifact. So if you're someone who goes on vacation and comes back with 11 photos while everyone else has 1,100, you're not doing it wrong. You're just playing a different game. One where the point isn't to prove you were happy, it's to actually be happy. And maybe, just maybe, that's worth more than any photo could ever capture. If this describes you, hit subscribe. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.